minutes early, so we'll just kind of chat a little bit.
You can see that we're live.
All right, great. Very good. I'm not quite there. I'm lagging behind a little bit here.
Still prepping.
I don't see it yet on my phone.
Oh, I didn't even check my phone. Yeah, let me see. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. It just popped up for me. On my phone anyway.
I'm not seeing it yet. Oh, there we are.
Hey. Awesome.
So we're official.
We're official. And we've got
official.
Susan on with us. Hi, Susan.
Wow, got some early birds. Nice. Very good. Well, if you're just joining us, we're going to kick our call off here in just a second. And I see folks rolling in, which is great. Looks like health coach Jen has joined us. Jen C, Shane, Susan, Tanya, Kay, yeah. All right. Well, welcome. We're going to get started right on time. I'm Coach Sandy. We've got Jen A here, another health coach here at HMR, and we are joined by the fabulous Emily. And Emily is a very successful client here in the HMR program, and we look forward to hearing from Emily. Say hello, Emily.
Hello. I'm happy to be here.
Making your debut. Wonderful. We always like to have guests. But so, yeah. Welcome, everyone. We've got a lot in store for you today with this next hour. We'll be together, or maybe less than an hour. Really appreciate you all taking the time to be on this event. And I encourage you to get involved in the comments as we go through. There'll be a lot of takeaways, so you also might want to get a pen and paper handy to take some notes down. But tonight's event is just one in a series of holiday support through our Facebook Live. And our goal is to help you finalize your Thanksgiving menu. Whether you're in phase 1, phase 2, just checking us out. It's just so important to go into this holiday, this eating holiday, with a very detailed plan for your food choices. So the good news is there's an abundance of healthy, wonderful foods that you can plan and enjoy, whether you're doing the decision-free plan, which is all HMR foods, no fruits and vegetables, or you're doing healthy solutions diet, HMR foods and fruits and vegetables, or on phase 2 where you're working on long-term weight management. We've got something for everybody. We've got some great recipes we're going to bring you. But again, we're just so happy to have Emily joining us. And so if you're just rolling in, and I see a lot of people just getting with us, we're Coach Sandy here, Coach Jen, and our fabulous client, Emily. But let's take a look here, see who's coming on.
I see Nancy's here.
Great. Hey, Jennifer Collins. All right, Cheryl, I know Cheryl, and Bob, like clockwork, joining us from Rancho Cucamonga. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So great to have everybody joining us. And Emily, it is just such a pleasure for us to get to have you joining the event this evening. I just want to do sort of a quick introduction for folks who have tuned in so that they get to know a little bit about who you are. But really, then I just want to turn it over to you and have you share your HMR experience with our viewers. So just as a little bit of background, I know that you started the decision-free diet back in September of 2019, and you're working with an in-clinic program, great program, OSF. And then in January, you transitioned to the Healthy Solutions diet, right? And then most recently, just within the past few weeks, you've transitioned to phase 2. So congratulations for all of that accomplishment. And just, you know, one of the reasons we were so thrilled that you were able to join us is that we know that you were able to stay in the box over Thanksgiving last year. And so we just feel like you will have so much expertise as far as sharing some of your tips, some of your recipes that really got you through the holiday. And it's going to be very helpful for those who are watching. So thanks so much for being here. I didn't want to steal your thunder and talk about your amazing weight loss, so I'll let you do that. Why don't you share a little bit about your experience?
It's been a great experience for me. I mean, it hasn't been easy, but this type of lifestyle change I don't think ever really is. But it's amazing to me that it's been possible. And the HMR program has done that for me. You know, this has worked when other programs haven't. So since September 18th, 2019, I've lost 127 pounds, which
Woohoo!
person, you know, in many ways. My biggest victories, though, are my non-scale victories. So this time last year, I was insulin-dependent diabetic. At this point, I am off of all of my medications for the diabetes, and I put it in remission. That's the doctor's term. He said I put it in complete remission. I actually have trouble with my blood sugars going too low now. Whereas before, you know, they were so high that I was on nightly insulin and oral medications and a weekly injectable med. So in total, with that and with other health conditions, I'm off of 10 medications that I was on this last year. And that's just thanks to the lifestyle change and, you know, and the changes that this program has helped me with.
It's phenomenal, phenomenal. Wow. So I know, you know, you had to first make that big decision to decide that you wanted to stay in the box over the holiday season last year. And I know for some folks watching, you know, that may actually be just really hard to even wrap your head around, you know, but clearly you were clear on your why that was so important to you. What had you really make that decision?
I'd gotten to the point in my life in general where I was looking at surgical options. And so I knew that my health was a serious problem. And so when I started the program, I dedicated myself to it. And the first few weeks were pretty tough. And it's, you know, it's getting those sugars and all the processed food and all of that and getting the addictions to that, you know, kind of out of your system. I had a lot of stomach problems the first few weeks just because of the change in diet. And so I knew going into the holidays and starting, you know, Halloween with all the candy around and then all of the wonderful things available Thanksgiving, I knew that if I went out of the box, I would set myself back. And so I didn't want to bring on additional stomach problems that I would have to then deal with. I knew that I could set myself back a few weeks if I did that. So that was part of the reason. And then, you know, I knew I'd already come so far. I'd seen progress just in 2 months between, you know, mid-September up until Thanksgiving. And so it wasn't worth it for the momentary satisfaction on Thanksgiving Day. It wasn't worth it to set my progress backwards.
Yeah, so just really keeping your long-term goal in mind, kind of front and center. You know, in addition to making the decision, were there other things that you needed to put in place to really support you, like having conversations with other people, just to let them know what your plans were?
My family was all on board. They knew that I, you know, had started the program. I live by myself, so environmental control has been essential. My best friend came over the night before I officially started the program and we cleared out my cabinets. So, you know, her children loved Aunt Emily that night. They loved it. Just the bags of stuff that they wouldn't have otherwise that I knew I needed out. So yeah, environmental control has been key. Talking to coworkers, we were still working in an office environment. And so I had to make sure that they were all aware that I wasn't joining in on the potlucks. And we had a chili cook-off not too long after I started. And so luckily HMR makes chili. And so I took, you know, my own chili and I ate, and they all, you know, sampled all the other chilies. But again, it wasn't worth it to jeopardize what I was doing and long-term health goals.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a saying that Coach Nancy has. It's really stuck with me, talking about not going places where you might be tempted to be out of the box. The saying is, don't go where you can't say no. And that's something that just was so powerful in the moment, that, how hard it is to resist those tempting foods when they're in your environment. And so that's a good reminder of that. As you were just mentioning, not going to the certain events where you knew it would be difficult.
I had a Halloween party last year that I purposefully did not go to just because I knew the food there, would be amazing. And I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to chance it. So
Yeah.
stayed home.
Great. Such good strategies between the environmental control that you spoke to, whether it was at the house or at the office, and then letting people in on what you were doing so they could support you, friends, family, coworkers. So important. I know you're going to share some of the recipes that you really enjoyed last Thanksgiving, but we're really curious, now that you've just transitioned into phase 2, is there something that you're really looking forward to this Thanksgiving? Something that you're planning?
Just the regular turkey. That's one of the things that I kind of missed last year. My brother can cook a mean turkey. And so, I'm looking forward to that. But I want to be cautious about the other food in my environment that day. I still know that I still have triggers. And so I've come so far, but I don't want to set myself back, and I don't want to end up back where I was a year ago. And so I know I need to still avoid a lot of the temptations that are just going to make me crave sugar again and crave things going into the holiday season. It's more important than ever, I think, for me to stay away and just to still go towards the lower calorie options.
Yeah. And like you're saying, it comes down to really planning, planning ahead for those things that you really have been looking forward to so that you can have them. But you can do them in a portion controlled way, and also enjoy lots of other very low calorie healthy foods, which is what this is all about tonight. Great.
I was just going to mention too, you just told us all you've lost 127 pounds, and yet you're still planning, even though you reached that magnificent goal, the work hasn't ended there. It's not like it's a one and done thing, cross that off my list, I can go on with my life. But it's a continuously working at, managing the calories in and out, and being aware of your food environments, and make sure, like Jen just said, that you've planned, you've prepped for successful low calorie meals and snacks. Really great.
Yeah, there isn't necessarily an end point.
No.
This is a lifestyle change, and this is something that I'm going to need to continue in order to maintain the loss and to maintain, a healthier lifestyle. And that's more important to me these days. So yeah, it's definitely not a one and done. I turned my 125 button into a magnet I put it on my fridge. So this is a reminder.
Yeah.
When I do go to the fridge, there's progress I've made, and I don't want to jeopardize that.
And didn't you share with us your original goal was 120 pound loss, but you knew there was a 125 pound pin. You had to go for it to get that pin.
That's exactly it. Yeah. I had, when I first started the program, I thought 120 would be, that's a lot. But then I heard about the pins and, the buttons, and so I got all of them on my fridge or now beside me. So there's the 100 and then the 75. And so
each milestone a celebration of your hard work.
Very much so. And, of course, I had to take selfies with each button when I got.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Oh, we like to see those in our Facebook group, people posting pictures of their buttons. So feel free.
I got so excited with the 125 that I took a selfie of it and didn't realize the button was upside down.
Well, that way you could read it.
There you go. Exactly.
There's our method to the madness. Well, let's check in. We've got a lot of folks joining Jen and Emily and I. People are saying your story is inspiring. Way to go, Emily. How do you feel now is what Shane's asking.
I'm a different person. I have, not just health wise, but I have so much more confidence
Mm,
and now than I did a year ago. And
wow.
absolutely love the double takes that I get when people don't realize it's me. And then, the next question is, well, how? And so I love to share. I love to share my journey.
You're such an inspiration and you provide so much hope. If folks joined us last week on our Facebook Live, you heard Sharon talking about she finally, found something that gave her hope for long-term weight management. I'm hearing that in you as well. That's great. Just checking the feed here. Susan,
Jennifer says she's going to make her own button. Jennifer, I think that's a great idea.
Why not?
I took a pair of wire cutters and cut off the pin, and that way the magnet, I hugged it.
If folks are wondering how do you get those pins, our clinic programs do, some of them, not all of them, do provide the pins. The at-home program, we give you a little celebratory thing on your app, but feel free to let us know in the group when you've reached a milestone so we can celebrate that success with you and acknowledge that what it took to get there. Some other, did I mention Susan H saying, I was in the box last Thanksgiving too? Well, we're gonna wanna hear what you did, Susan. So any strategies or recipes that helped you stay in the box on that major holiday last year, please comment. You may have already, I'm just scrolling. Coach Jen is mentioning the pumpkin pie ice cream. It's on our website and in our handouts.
Oh, I think Sandy got a little frozen here. So we'll just keep going. Hopefully Sandy will be able to get back in action with us in just a moment. So lots of great comments. Please keep those coming. We want to definitely continue to see posts happen. But we do want to talk a little bit about calories and why it is so important to really plan, whether you're in phase 1 or phase 2, to be able to manage calories over Thanksgiving. So why don't you post? I'd love to just hear some guesses on how much you think that typical Thanksgiving meal, how many calories might be in a typical Thanksgiving meal if you include the appetizers and maybe the dessert. Let's see what some people think about that. I can tell you what USA Today actually estimated for those calories. Oh, I think we've got Sandy back.
I don't know, a little hiccup.
Okay, so glad you were able to come back. I know you cooked up a lot of good recipes for us.
Yes, I did. I don't know if I was talking and you didn't hear me, but we're talking about planning. Are we ready to get into recipes?
Well, I was asking people to take a guess as to how many calories were in the average Thanksgiving meal and see what kind of thoughts people have. Susan says easily 4,000.
Okay.
Yep. Shane, 1,500. Judy says 5,000. I feel like it's The Price is Right.
It does sound like, wait, what's behind curtain number 1?
Mary says 7,000. You want to share, Sandy, what we just pulled up real quickly from USA Today?
We need a drum roll, please. 3,000 is the average. 3,000 calories from appetizers to desserts. Can you imagine that? You just can't. I mean, that's some people's entire week of physical activity calories. We talk about not being able to outrun that fork, especially if your fork's that big. Or your spoon. But yeah, that could easily happen with just all the little bites, as well as filling your plate and then indulging in all the sweets. So yeah, it's really a time to be prepared if ever there was one. And we've got some great recipes.
Well, let's get cooking, why don't we? And we'll share some of the things that we prepared, but of course, we want to see you all post. So please add your favorite recipe ideas into comments. Tell us what you're really planning for Thanksgiving. And for anyone who's in phase 2 or you're just transitioning into phase 2, we'd love to hear from you too. Any helpful tips that you have, things that you're looking forward to and planning this Thanksgiving. So we kind of broke it down between appetizers, mains and sides, and the desserts. And I know Emily and Sandi, probably for you, just like for me, it was kind of hard to decide even what to make because there's so many different things that we could be showing. So this is just a small sampling, but I can start us off. When I think about a holiday and a get together, one of the things that I don't want to leave out is that there's usually some really high calorie beverages around. And, if you're really watching the calories or you're trying to stay in the box, that's just can be tricky. So I made a little sample here. And if you're on healthy solutions or phase 2, this could definitely be something fun. But you can just take any kind of fruit and sort of muddle it up in your glass. I did raspberries, add some sparkling water to that, and I added lime. But you could add mint, you could do different kinds of fruit. There's all sorts of flavored, no-calorie seltzers. So that's one thing to just be thinking about, and plan something kind of fun, put it in a pretty glass. It can make a big difference. And then one of the appetizers that I made is the baby portobellas with the risotto entree. And if you have an HMR recipe book, this is the recipe book, but it's actually on page 60. So I'll show you kind of what they look like once they're done. You can kind of see it. They smell fantastic. And this could not be easier. You really just take the mushroom risotto entree and a red pepper, dice up your pepper, combine these together. You're gonna add a little bit of minced garlic, a tablespoon of low sodium soy sauce, right? So stir all that together, stuff your mushrooms and pop it in the oven at 350 for, the recipe says 30 minutes. That got mine a little overdone maybe, so just watch it. But again, just a really easy, pretty, yummy appetizer.
I have a story about those, Jen. Back when we used to go to parties before COVID, I was in the box one Christmas season, and I took those as an appetizer to a Christmas party. I don't know, maybe 50 people were there. And I made like a triple batch. I made a lot and they were gone. They just flew off the plate. Nobody knew they were eating my diet food. They're that good. And just a tip, something I do, a little twist on that recipe, rather than putting the soy sauce in to the recipe, I mix a tablespoon of soy sauce with a tablespoon of PB2 powder, peanut butter powder, and a tablespoon of water, little hot sauce if you want. Whisk it up and just drizzle it over the top. It has this kind of peanutty Thai flavor to it. It's really good.
Sounds amazing.
So good.
I make those all the time. And instead of the garlic and the soy sauce, I add a couple tablespoons of low-calorie salsa.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, it sounds good.
That would be
Gives it a
really
little
good.
bit more of a kick. Mhm.
Great.
Yummy. And if you don't like the mushroom risotto or don't like mushrooms, we've got some other ideas here for you, so don't worry. Shall I share one of mine?
Definitely.
Hot out of the oven. Emily was actually sharing one of her favorite baked recipes. It's actually on our website. It's the baked mac and cheese. And when we were kind of putting everything together, I thought, well, how would that be as little appetizer bites? And so I took my, I don't want to show you my muffin tin, it's a mess, but I took my mini muffin tin and put the recipe in the mini muffin tin and baked them. Aren't those fun? Little, can you see them? Little baked mac and cheese bites. And there's something about when you bake an entree, the flavors just take on a whole new life. But what's in it is a mac and cheese entree, of course, HMR chicken soup, Italian herbs, just Italian style blend is what I used, and some garlic powder. It's on the website. Totally decision free too. that could be decision-free or healthy solutions. And if you want to make it healthy solutions with added vegetables, I can see adding those little diced green chilies, maybe with a little chili powder. I could see also putting broccoli in there chopped up, or spinach. There's just, the possibilities are just, numerous what you can do with this. And it's in the box and they're delicious. I did taste them. There should be 10 on this plate. I ate 2. So it makes a lot.
The baked mac and cheese is wonderful. That was my go-to for Christmas Eve last year. The large family gathering I went to, I made my own baked mac and cheese, and that's what I had. So it stayed in the box there too.
Great. It can be done, folks. If you're in phase 1 and you want to keep that weight loss momentum going, you don't want to, take the chance of going out of the box and have it become just this slippery slope of not being able to get back in. It can be done, and we're here to give you some really great recipes. I'm wondering if anybody who's joined us out there has shared any appetizer or drink menus. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Coach, for sharing the recipe for the Baby Bellas, the appetizer that Jen shared.
Yep, and also Health Coach says Sprite has a diet cranberry Sprite now, which would make a really great in the box festive beverage.
Love it. One thing we do, this is totally phase 2, but you may have mentioned this, Emily, when we were talking, but to cut the calories and say, if you want a celebratory drink, want to have a little wine, to cut it with some either diet Sprite or something, or some flavored carbonated water to make like a sparkling wine, cut the calories in half and still enjoy a little bit of spirits on the holiday.
Exactly. Make yourself a wine spritzer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mary shared, she says that poultry seasoning made by Frontier Co-op. She says it's Thanksgiving in a jar. So that sounds like something we should all put on our list.
That sounds great. All right.
So Emily, I would love to have you share a little bit about what you made last Thanksgiving. It was the super stuffing, right?
Exactly. My favorite food, I guess you would say, for Thanksgiving dinner is my grandma's stuffing. And so I knew that would be my biggest temptation, and even more so than the turkey. And so I used the super stuffing recipe from the website. It was one that was mentioned in class. And so we had samples of it even in class one time. And so I made that. See, it's wonderful.
Here it is.
And that's what I took. That was my meal for Thanksgiving, and it was great.
And I think, the recipe is on our website. You can search super filling stuffing, super spelled SOUPER. It calls for the mushroom risotto, but honestly, I prefer the whole grain medley. So because I think the whole grain medley has a lot of flavors of, Thanksgiving that we're used to, with the sage and the, oregano, and it just lends nicely to this recipe. Yeah.
I like a drier, like a crunchy, crispier type of stuffing. And so I did mine in my mini muffin pan.
Oh.
For baked mac and cheese. That's how I did my stuffing last year for Thanksgiving. And I
also an appetizer
for Christmas Day. Yeah, Christmas Day, I knew the stuffing again would be a big draw for me. And so I did Christmas Day last year.
That recipe calls for Bell's seasoning. And if people are wondering, what is that? Here's the box to look for in the store. Bell's seasoning. It's really popular this time of year, but it's rosemary, oregano, sage, ginger, and some other spices. It's really nice in a lot of these Thanksgiving dishes.
That was Thanksgiving in a jar in a cart.
Oh, I love it. Well, I've got a side dish here I can share. Oh, Coach Jen just put up the super filling stuffing recipe in the feed. So if you're looking for it, she made it easy for you to find. All right. One of my favorite things at Thanksgiving is Brussels sprouts. I love them. I love them roasted. I love them all year round. But at Thanksgiving especially, I like to roast them in the oven and roast them long enough so the little leaves get a little crunchy and get that just intense flavor. And I made this phase 2 version. I'll describe it and then I'll tell you how to make it healthy solutions friendly. But here it is. I roasted these Brussels sprouts in the oven for, it was at 400. I put them in there probably for about 40 minutes. It was a long time because I like them really well done. No oil, even though we can use a little oil in phase 2. I thought on Thanksgiving Day, I'm really going to want to be saving as many calories as I can where I can. And so I just used a little bit of nonstick spray on the pan itself. And then I tossed them with some fresh ground pepper and a little bit of just general seasoning, like Lowry's type of seasoning. And then because I'm in phase 2, I'm allowed a little lean protein in there. So I have some turkey bacon chopped up in there and I just cooked it all together, about 430 to 40 minutes, depending on how you like it. But look at these crunchy little leaves. That's the best part right there. If you're in phase 1, healthy solutions, you can do the same thing, leave out the turkey bacon and do your own seasonings, however you like. But this is amazing. This is bacon seasoning. Do you guys see this? This brand is Delicio. I don't know, Deliciou. There's another brand called J&D that's, I think, better. It's just really hard to find. But I just sprinkle some of that on there to taste and you get that bacon flavor without adding the bacon. So it's one thing we try to do, right? When we think of a flavor we really love, and if it's a food that's not allowed on your plan, figuring out a way to mimic that flavor while staying within the boundaries of your diet plan is just going to be a win. You're going to discover new ways to make the foods how you like them and the flavors that you like. I recently saw somebody added curry powder to our chicken soup because they missed curry dishes. And I just thought, wow, how ingenious. Adding that to, like, say, the savory chicken could be a nice little Indian inspired dish. So someone's saying, Irene's saying, liquid smoke is great anywhere you use bacon, helps replace it. I agree. That's kind of that savory flavor.
You know, Shane also mentioned mashed cauliflower as a side and using the chicken soup as a gravy. It's a great idea.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I've made mashed potatoes recently, and I hope I'm not stealing what you're sharing.
I'm gonna share mashed potatoes, but go ahead.
Oh, maybe it's the same. No, but I just would leave a little bit of extra water in the potatoes that I boiled, add a packet of soup and mashed it all in there together. And really that's all you need. Maybe a little pepper if you like. Flavors your potatoes nicely, 100% in the box for Healthy Solutions.
That sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make them like that, but I'll show. So everyone has seen mashed potatoes, so no surprise here. But you can make in the box mashed potatoes. And, of course, people's tastes are a little bit different. But one of the things, instead of adding the heavy like creams and butters and things that are really going to drive up the calories, just using a little bit of vegetable or chicken broth can make all the difference. And it just makes it a really nice creamy consistency. And then for these, I also added just a little bit of fat-free sour cream and some garlic because my family loves garlic. And you can also just add herbs that you enjoy. So there's rosemary here, but I also happen to have some crushed chives, and it just really kind of brightens it up. And but these are just completely in the box. This is about 3 good-sized potatoes here, but you can see it makes just a really nice portion. Perfect.
Love it. I would say that's how I typically make my potatoes, how you just described, Jen, on the regular. And I can remember the days when I used to add a lot of high-fat cream, butter, and just really loaded up full-fat sour cream. Those days are gone for me. I can only do that so long before the scale is creeping back up. But, one thing I think Rick mentioned last week on our live event that tastes are learned, and so if you are making some big changes from foods you're used to eating to now eating differently on the program, give yourself some time to get used to this new way of eating, or even just a new way of approaching your condiments. You will adjust. Won't you, Emily? You're shaking your
Definitely.
head.
Definitely. Well, it's amazing to me how much my tastes have changed, even just getting rid of all of the processed, prepackaged stuff that I was eating a year ago, and the grease and the fat and all the sugar. And yeah, it's amazing to me that, I'm eating spicier food before, but it's what I'm enjoying. And
Yeah. That's great.
I just remembered I wanted to share something else. This is another way, if you're kind of lazy like I am sometimes, to make mashed potatoes. So Trader Joe's these are sweet potatoes, and they're frozen, but they're already mashed. There's no other ingredients in here. And so it's just really quick and easy way that you could do them stovetop or even in the microwave. And they always turn out great. They have a great consistency. You can just add some cinnamon to that, or even a little bit of, I can't believe it's not butter spray if you like that. So mashed sweet potatoes also can be made so that they're in the box are really low calorie.
Awesome. Coach Jen, making in the box mashed potatoes. And somebody asked, are the mashed potatoes on the website? They are not, but maybe we can put, your how you made them here in the comments.
Yeah.
A little bit later.
Sure.
So Judy, you hang on for that. Nicole, my daughter-in-law, said, I made a yummy mashed sweet potatoes yesterday with crispy multigrain cereal topped on it and baked it. And so that sounds amazing. It sounds like an upside down sweet potato pie, doesn't it?
Sounds good.
So before we move on, we do have a question from Maggie. Anyone have suggestions for decision-free shakes only at the holidays? I want to avoid entrees for a bit longer still. Must be in obviously decision-free, but all shakes. Any thoughts there, ladies? Shakes at the holidays?
There's always the peppermint chocolate combination. You can do peppermint extract. I've done that quite a bit. Just be cautious with it. A little goes a long way. I bought an eyedropper like that you would use for medicine, just so that I didn't clear out my sinuses every time I did that with my shakes. So a little bit of that in a chocolate shake is great. Another combo that I liked last year was the vanilla shake, and with some sugar-free butterscotch pudding, a tablespoon of that mix, and pumpkin pie spices.
Ooh.
Got kind of the flavoring and the look of like a pumpkin shake without the pumpkin for just a treat.
That goes right there.
Exactly, there you go.
I also really love the sugar-free apple cider mix combined with the shake, and you can do that with vanilla. You can do it cold and it, get a nice high volume shake, but you can also make it hot, and that's just really nice and comforting too, especially when the temperatures get a little bit colder.
Right. You mentioned the peppermint and the chocolate. If you're using any of our chocolate shakes, 70 plus doesn't work so well with it, but if you mix that peppermint extract or some sugar-free peppermint syrup in with the hot chocolate shake, that's also a nice warm beverage this time of year. Someone was asking how to make the sauce or gravy out of a soup. Here's a soup packet. The directions are actually right on there. And look, Coach Jen has some gravy. We have show and tell with gravy tonight. So it's basically a packet of the soup, 2 ounces of hot water, stir slowly until it's all dissolved together. But yeah, it's right there on the packet.
It works best if you have a whisk and you're able to whisk it up. It just makes it nice and smooth that way.
I'm all about that whisk.
Yep. I also have an in the box for healthy solutions, a cranberry relish recipe. And this was something that I tried new for the first time this year, but I really wanted to share it with folks. this could not be easier. You don't even need to cook it. Literally, you just take like cranberries, right? Rinse them off. So I'll just give the recipe verbally, but the whole recipe is 2 cups of cranberries, rinsed, put them in a food processor, 2 tart apples that are peeled and just cut into chunks, 2 seedless oranges that you just pull into segments, but you put the whole thing in there, even the peel. Pulse it in your food processor until you get it to be the consistency that you like. And then rather than adding all that sugar that's typically into a cranberry sauce or relish, you just use whatever kind of non-caloric sweetener you like. So this is stevia, but to add a little bit, you know, taste it, get it to taste the way that you enjoy. But this is just smells wonderful. I've already been eating some of it before the event tonight, but something really nice to brighten up the plate, and it feels really traditional.
Love it.
Sounds like a dessert.
Yeah, it does look good, huh? It looks very festive. I happen to like my cranberry sauce warm. So I actually shared this with my phase 1 group this week. I take that bag you just showed there, Jen, a bag of fresh cranberries, a peeled chopped orange, get as much of the pith off as you can, chop that up, combine it with the cranberries with a cup of water in a pan, and just cook it till those cranberries pop open. Add some cinnamon in there too. You can throw a cinnamon stick in if you want. And just stir it until it's all cooked and nice and soft. And of course, you want to add some Splenda or some 0-calorie sweetener to that, because that's going to be really tart. Half a cup to a full cup of that. Just, you know, don't add too much at once. Just do it to taste. And it's so good. It's so festive and perfect for Thanksgiving table. Totally in the box.
I wanted to share real quickly before we move on. Kate shared another nice decision-free shake recipe, which is a warm hot chocolate with salted caramel syrup, so the sugar-free caramel syrup. And she says she also loves a warm chai tea with vanilla. Right, so there's another couple of really good options for the shake.
Sounds wonderful. There are so many recipes we could go through. I wish we had more time. We do have our Thanksgiving in a dish, very popular, and it's made with the savory chicken entree. It's on our website. I also substitute the whole grain medley in that recipe instead of the savory chicken. I just love the whole grain medley this time of year in all my Thanksgiving. Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
Made in a squash. Oh, it's beautiful. That's really nice. Love that picture. All right. Couple of other tips before I move off of the main meal. Strategies to keep calories low on your plate. If you're in healthy solutions or phase 2, fill that plate 3/4 full of those veggies and fruits. You know, you're gonna fill up on those lower calorie foods and have a overall lower calorie meal by doing that. 3/4 of your plate, fruits and veggies. That other 1/4 of your plate, consider, you know, doing the leaner meats like the white meat, turkey or chicken, and the, you know, whatever you have there that's lean. All right, let's see. And I have a client who also, I just share this real quick as a tip, a client who would serve herself with a smaller spoon. So instead of putting a regular size serving spoon in a dish, she would just put a small spoon, and it would just remind her to take smaller portions of, especially the foods. She was in phase 2, those foods that are maybe a little bit on the higher calorie side, she just wanted to taste. So there's a couple tips. All right, shall we move on to?
Let's get to dessert. Emily, how about you kick off the desserts? I know you've prepared something.
So last year I knew going into Thanksgiving that there would be a wide selection of pie. I knew that I couldn't do that. So my go-to for dessert for myself was to make something that I felt was a little fancier than what I was doing on a daily basis. And so I had my to-go container with pudding. And so I made basically a double batch of pudding, and I did the vanilla pudding on the bottom with a tablespoon of PB2. So there's peanut butter pudding basically on the bottom. Popped up one of the peanut butter benefit bars. So there's some of that throughout the middle and then on the top too. And then I just topped it with a batch of the chocolate pudding. So it's 2 shakes and one benefit bar, and it's in the box. And it kept me away from all the pie.
Love it.
Love it.
One of the things that's really nice about a recipe like that, Emily, is that you can make it ahead of time and you can have it in the fridge and it can just be ready to go. You could even make more of those than one and, you know, pop a couple in the fridge and just easily be able to take them with you places. That's a great idea.
Well, and I knew my Thanksgiving for my family was over an hour away. So I did a lot of prep the night before. So the night before is when I made my stuffing, and that's when I made my pudding. And I made sure I had extra entrees just, you know, because I thought I needed to take enough to eat for a week. I took extra entrees, extra shakes. That way there was just no chance that I would not have something there that I could eat.
Such a great tip. Pack more than you think you'll need.
Great.
Another way to be prepared. Are we
Sandi,
ready?
what did you make?
Well, I took a tip from Andrew in our group. He posted a picture of a crustless pumpkin pie recently. Did everybody catch that? If you
I want to try that this year. That's my go-to for this year.
Well, as we were starting, I realized I had it in the oven. I realized it wasn't quite done. So I dashed over there while we were chatting and grabbed it. And I have to tell you, when I pulled this out of the oven a few minutes ago, it was puffed up. Here it is sideways now, but it was just nearly to the top, which was kind of fun to see pulled out of the oven that way. But here it is, crustless pumpkin pie. I'll tell you what's in it in a second, but just wanted to show a great option for whipped cream. It's coconut whipped topping. And then I get this at Trader Joe's. It's 5 calories a tablespoon. 5.
That's a win.
I'm in too. I'm just going to top that off right there. Look at that. Pretty. So what's in this? We've got pureed pumpkin right out of the can. I use just, this pumpkin puree from Trader Joe's, and make sure you don't get the pumpkin pie filling because that usually has added sugar and other things added in, but pure pumpkin. It has a packet of Splenda, a tablespoon of the butterscotch pudding mix I showed earlier, and a 1/4 cup of water, a dash of pumpkin pie spice, baked at 350 for 30 minutes. I took Andrew's recipe and cut it in a 1/4, basically, but his feeds, it makes 4 servings. You could totally do that and have more is better ready for, after Thanksgiving, or even, later in the evening when you might be kind of lounging around, or even the next day, enjoy the rest of that. So I have to get in here and taste this because honestly, I haven't made this before. I want to see what it's like. I'll let you guys know. It's got like a, almost like it made its own crust on the top. Oh my goodness. Yeah. This would totally replace regular pumpkin pie, and you don't get the added sugar and the guilty calories. So I highly recommend that. Thank you, Andrew.
That looks great. And Emily, Shane says that your pudding he says pudding, yum. I think he likes that idea.
It's just the 70+ shakes. Those are the shakes that I use anyway because they're lactose free. And so I've always
What have you got there, Jen?
So this is another recipe that's actually in our recipe book. It's on page, 38, and it's an apple crisp. It's our HMR Healthy Solutions version of the apple crisp, and it is so simple. The recipe says 1 apple that you just peel and then slice into thin slices and put it at the bottom of the pan. I did 2 apples because why not? More is better with our fruits and our veggies. So I did 2 apples, and then you take a packet of the HMR cereal. So this is just the multi-grain cereal. Combine that in a dish with 1 packet or more to taste of a non-caloric sweetener. Again, I used a little bit of stevia for that. And then it says a dash of apple pie spice, which I didn't have. So I just Googled, what is an apple pie spice? And of course, It's usually got some cinnamon in it, some allspice, and also some nutmeg. So I did have all three of those things on hand and just combined it all together. And then what's interesting about this recipe, this was the first time I've made this, but you drizzle water over the top so that you get the whole thing wet, right? And then you bake it in the oven, and that really has it just smells wonderful. Can't wait to eat this in a little while later tonight, but it's just a great, a great kind of tried and true traditional recipe. But again, we drove the calories way down.
It would be good with some of this on top.
It was good with some of that, or 70 plus vanilla on
Yes,
top.
it would. I've made that before, Jen, with peaches. Peaches, I've done mixed berries. It's just a great alternative to, a very traditional dessert.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's just check and see if there's any additional recipes folks are sharing on our feed. Please continue to do so.
I think that crustless pumpkin pie recipe is going to be pretty popular, Sandy. So I know we're going to post that after the event. Make sure people have that.
I can do that, no problem. But if you need it right away, look for Andrew's post. It was earlier this week. All right.
One other quick go-to to keep in mind are the cookies that you can make out of the multigrain cereal and in the shakes. Those have been great to take to different, events and family functions back when we could have them. But to keep me out of, cookie trays and things like that, and from snacking on other options, just make a batch of those and take them, and then that's my go-to.
I love that. So many of our foods are portable. I think about the mushroom risotto, the stuffed baby bellas, the baked mac and cheese. I could totally see putting these in a little Tupperware dish and taking them along. And, and it doesn't have to be a holiday to enjoy them for sure. Great. Let me check the time here. It looks like we're getting close to ending, but I encourage everybody to keep posting recipes. If you need an idea for a certain time of day, Thanksgiving Day or the weekend following, reach out to the group for ideas and strategies. Or if you just want someone to hold you accountable to what you plan to do, let somebody know, whether it's somebody in the group, a family member. I don't know that we talked briefly about letting people know your plans. And I think when you were telling your story, Emily, you talked a lot about that, but the importance of, if you need the support of your family, friends, have those important conversations to let them know how important it is for you to stay the course, stick with your plan, and really just come out the other side of this holiday feeling great about what you pulled off.
Sandy, you just mentioned something that I think was really important. You said, after the day, we've got that weekend. And I think it's just important to have people really thinking about that as well, because I know from personal experience that I've sometimes really muscled my way through a holiday and pretty much stayed on track with my plans. But boy, just the day or two after can really be tough if there are higher calorie foods around, things that are tempting, just less structured time. So I think it's just important to mention that, get back to structure as quickly as possible the day after, full on back onto your plan. Start the day really strong, maybe with a shake or a bout of exercise, or the multigrain cereal, and get some environmental control in place if you need to. Take a real hard look around the house or the office.
Speaking of environmental control, what was that, Emily?
I was just going to say, don't take the leftovers home with you, or if you host, send them with other people, the things that are going to be the temptations for you.
Right. Mm-hmm. I know so many holidays I overbuy, I just buy an abundance of food and I have all these leftovers. And perhaps a word of caution is just buy what you need for the meal and don't plan for leftovers. Is a cautionary tale, unless, of course, they're leftovers that aren't going to, interfere with your calorie budget or your diet plan. But yeah, that's a great tip. I will say too, if you're in phase one and your plans don't go as you'd hoped, get back on track immediately. Don't wait. Don't wait till Monday. Don't wait till Friday. Don't wait till December 1st. Go make a shake, go for a walk, do some to-do healthy behavior right away. You don't want to get on that slippery slope and just keep going. As we heard, we were hearing from Sharon and Charlie last week on our live event, and they both shared just how easy that is. And I'm sure others can relate to that, as it's so easy to gain weight back. All right, well, we sure hope that you have something to take away. Emily, do you want to just kind of lead us into ending this event here tonight and ask the folks to weigh in here?
Well, I think, just most important, looking at Thanksgiving, have a plan. So what's your go-to this year, for Thanksgiving? Decide what it is that's going to tempt you and come up with a solution, something that's similar, like the stuffing recipe that helped me last year. Plan out, take extra food if you need to take extra food, make your own dessert, make sure that people are on board and that they know why you're doing what you're doing, and that goes a long way too. So yeah, have a plan. That's my best advice. And in terms of asking, so I would love to know what other people are planning.
Yeah.
Phase 2 is new for me, so I'd love to hear phase 2 recipes and suggestions from people.
Excellent. Well, we can, ask people to post what you have heard or what you plan to do that's going to make a difference in helping you stay on track this coming week, this coming holiday. But we just hope tonight's event has given you some ideas and time to really just finalize your own Thanksgiving plans, your menus, to think about what you need to shop for to set yourself up for success. And again, please continue to comment. If you want to be in the box this Thanksgiving, just put it out there. I'm planning to be in the box. We'll rally around you, support you, and give you that accountability that you need. You won't want to miss next week, that's for sure. Or not next week, next one, next Facebook Live, not this coming Thursday. That's Thanksgiving Day. But 2 weeks from tonight, we'll meet up here again. And I hope you'll all be able to join us. We'll recap how Thanksgiving went, hear from you, what worked, because so many strategies, recipes you're using this coming week, you can continue to use throughout this holiday season. All right. Any last words?
Have a happy, healthy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Emily. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to share just my journey.
Excellent. We're so thankful for all of our members, and we wish you all a happy, healthy Thanksgiving. Take care, everyone.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.